Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. I'm lucky enough to be joined today by Coach Cody Bartlow of Midland University. Coach, how are we today?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. You guys are NAI program in Nebraska, and you're on the women's side of things. And so, on the women's side of things, I talked to both men's and women's coaches, and you get different answers here. So, when do you start looking at players? When do players start reaching out to you? Kind of what year in high school are you kind of averaging these days?
Yeah, so I think probably the average for us is junior year. Typically, we start getting most of them. But I mean, I have sophomores and freshmen in my inbox right now. And so we're kind of all over the map, not having the restrictions NCAA does about when we can talk to players kind of opens it up a little bit more. But yeah, typically junior years, everybody kind of falls along the NCAA kind of timelines quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you mentioned your inbox. So how many inbound contacts would you say you get in an average week or month?
I think it depends on kind of time of the year. When we're in showcase season, you're getting 30 to 70. When you're kind of not in showcase season or they're kind of in those holiday seasons, you may get 10, 15.
Okay.
So just depends where we're at.
Yeah. What do you like to see in those first communications from a recruit?
I think most coaches are probably the same. We don't we I know we don't send out mass emails. So getting the ones that are definitely mass where there's no coach's name, there's no school name, there's no like, at that point it's like, okay, they're not really interested in the school. So just someone that shows interest in the school, and interest in the program so that we have a conversation. And I equate it a lot to dating where it's like, if you're doing online dating and they give you nothing to go on, you're probably not going to pursue that. Very similar, right? Like you need some information to be able to go on, some interest shown to be able to move forward with them. So that's kind of the things that stand out for us.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. So besides talking with the players themselves, I mean, do you talk to a lot of club coaches? Are club coaches reaching out to you, high school coaches, anything like that?
Yeah, you get a little bit of club. I wish it was more, if I'm honest. I would like to see coaches advocate for their kids more, just to be completely transparent. High school, I get a lot more. JUCO coaches always do a tremendous job of getting out and putting their kids out there. I love the JUCO coaches. Um, and so you kind of get those, but then, I'll talk to club coaches. I was in the club scene for a very long time in the Dallas area, so I have a lot of connections through that. And so I'll talk to coaches, but a lot of times for me, it's, that kid and getting to know them and family that really matter for us.
So you mentioned JUCOs. How do transfer players kind of fit into your recruiting agenda?
Yeah. So for me, I'm trying to take our program to be more of a wide versed, geographical kind of landscape. So it kind of fits into every year we're trying to bring in, a JUCO kid or two, because typically they bring up more competitiveness. They know what it's like to be a college athlete. Um, Obviously depends on the year, but for us, it's an important aspect is to be able to bring in kids that have gone and done it and competed at high levels and be able to come in. And then, some of the JUCO programs across the country are phenomenal. So to be able to have kids that have been in that environment is just honestly prepares them better than anything else.
No, absolutely, absolutely, and it gives you a chance to kind of fill in some gaps if you've had players leave for any reason or anything, and you're not starting from scratch. That's good. What about international players? I was looking at your roster, not a huge international bent there, which is sometimes different for NAI programs. So what's it like for you guys on the international side?
Yeah, so this is my first season here at Midland. So the previous coach didn't recruit internationally from everything that I know. I do. So we have two internationals joining us this year. We won't ever be super heavy internationals. It won't be like on the men's side where it's, predominantly international. But I do like to have international players because again, for us, it's about creating those lifelong relationships, but also understanding how to learn and live in this world and in this culture where it's different all over the place. And so the more cultures I feel like our girls are exposed to and can live within, the more well-rounded they are once they leave college and go out into the real world.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. Um, in terms of tournaments, places you go to recruit, what are your must attend events or places you like to go to first see players?
Yeah, so I mean, big for us is Surf Cup and Silver Lakes. We have a heavy recruiting land or heavy recruiting mark in California. Again, I'm from the Dallas area, so going down to Texas is big for me. Using those connections as well. Las Vegas is good for us as well. We bring a lot of players out of there, and so those are the big ones. I'm looking forward to hopefully hitting PDAs coming this summer and getting a little bit more into the East Coast than we have been previously. But yeah, those are the big major showcases are always the ones. Personally, I stay away from the ECNL showcases. I think it's just too much competition for us. But the ECRLs, the National League, even some of the GA showcases we're big at as well.
Okay, well, it means you should be on a plane down here to Bradenton, because I think the GA Champions League thing starts at IMG tomorrow. So, but anyway, what about camps? How do camps fit into your whole recruiting style in terms of whether it camps you guys hold or you at camps at other schools, anything like that?
Yeah, for us, so again, it's one of those things we're just trying to get that kind of started here. So it wasn't really something that was done previous to me getting here. So ID camps are huge for us. Being able to recruit local talent, especially, is massive. I like having a footmark in the local scene and people having kind of ownership of our program a little bit. You know what I mean? And so having that is vital for us. And so it's something we're moving forward. So we'll have ID camps this summer. My goal is always to sign someone out of an ID camp, for it to be a truly worthwhile pathway for them. And then obviously, not recruiting wise, but having youth camps and just kind of helping build that buzz and educate those next level of players that are coming up in, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, whatever it may be. But again, just building into the community is important for us as well.
That's great. So when you are recruiting, whether you're at a tournament or your own camps or anything like that, what's kind of your hierarchy of attributes that you're looking for in a player, whether that's on the field or off the field?
Yeah, so first thing I look for is first touch. We're very much a possession side team. So first touch, the ability to orient your body before the ball ever gets to you is huge. I'm watching what you do off the ball more than what you do on the ball a lot of times. And then obviously those moments that stand out that we all look for, the nice goals, the great through balls, the great switch of play, whatever it may be, the defensive effort. That's huge. And the other part is in listening. So I'm looking to see how you communicate, but then also how you take direction from your teammates, kind of body language from that. Are you open? Are you receptive? Are you closed off? And then honestly, watching to see kind of how your parents are. Are your parents joysticking you from the sideline? Because if they are, that doesn't work for us. And your adjustment to how we play and kind of the freedom and the soccer IQ part that you have to have here is probably going to be pretty steep. So all that kind of comes into it as well.
Love it. I think I might have to isolate that and send it to some parents that I know. In terms of your NAIA, so you do have some athletic money. What's the overall scholarship situation at your school between athletic, academic money, and how do those things kind of commingle to help you get to your roster?
Yeah, so we have a pretty good setup here. So everyone that comes to Midland, if you are eligible, if you apply and you get into the school, gets some academic money. So that kind of sets what we call our floor or our base offer. And then after that, we put athletic on top of that. But everything's packaged together as one. So, it's not necessarily a stacked scholarship. So when you get a scholarship offer here, it's a Midland scholarship. So for instance, if you stop playing sports per se, or you get an injury, like I'm not going to pull that from you or anything like that. It's just more of a scholarship that shows that you're desired here at Midland to be a student athlete. And if that's not the case, then to be a student. And so we really try to take care of the kids and understand that, they're coming here for 4 years, but it's, playing the sport is just part of it. The education is paramount and what's most important.
No, that's fantastic. I wish more schools looked at it through that lens. Um, Speaking of school, there's probably a lot of people out there who are not familiar with Midland. And so besides me going to the website and clicking around and give me the inside skinny, what are some things that are awesome about Midland that I might not learn by just going to the website?
Yeah, so we're a suburban-based campus, so we're in a city of about 30,000 people. What's really nice, we're about 30 to 40 minutes outside of Omaha, depending on what part of Omaha you're going to. So you have that kind of slower paced lifestyle of Fremont, but then again, you have the city with Omaha right there. We're really big with business majors and then with health science majors. So CHI hospital system out of Omaha is massive for medical research. So having connections to there is always really big for our medical kids, nursing or whatever it may be. And then businesses in Omaha, you have 5 Fortune 500 companies headquartered there, which is the most of any city. So again, business connections there and the relationships that you're able to learn are massive. From a school standpoint, directly to school, we're the largest athletic department in Nebraska. We have 33 sports. And so always something going on, always some kind of game to go represent at and have fun and enjoy. Fremont actually has the largest YMCA in the country. So kids that come here get free access to that. And so there's literally an Olympic sized swimming pool. There's an ice hockey rink. There's everything that typical YMCA has. So just a bunch of these little extra hidden gems that you wouldn't actually realize. And then honestly, the best selling point for Midland is it's the Midwest. So it's the people, just super nice people who really care about you and your well-being and want to see you do really well.
No, that's awesome. I haven't been out to Nebraska, but it's definitely a place I'd love to see. I got good old Coach Bob Warming there now at Nebraska Omaha. I have to go visit him sometime and visit you guys as well.
Yeah, our men's team played them this past year, so
Oh yeah,
it was great to be out there, and so we were out there supporting. And I remember they had a food truck out there instead of their concession stand. He bought everybody free stuff and everything like that. So Bob's amazing. He's he's a great ambassador for Omaha and for UNO, and then just for soccer in general in the state.
absolutely. Love that guy. So in terms of the soccer and academic side, how do student athletes really balance the academics and the athletics, specifically at Midland? Kind of what support systems are there to help them do that?
Yeah, so I mean, we're an athlete-heavy campus, and so our academic resource center, or ARC as we call it, is available to students all the time. So one way that we do it within the team is study hall hours, making sure that we're on top of grades and everything like that. But our academic resource center has free tutoring, supplemental instruction, which I love, which is any kind of like very difficult class, say organic chem 2. The students get in and go in and get tutored, not only just by a general tutor, but someone who's been in that class with that professor. So they're able to kind of walk you through the strengths and the weaknesses of that professor, maybe in a lecture, how they grade, what they look for when they're building their tests, all that type of stuff. So it's just that more personable, built-in success strategy. And then, again, average student to teacher ratio is 14-1 here. So you have personal connections with your professors, and we put academics first. So, I had numerous times this year where we didn't have full practices because we had kids at SI at supplemental instruction or getting ready for a test. Another little small tweak they do here is a lot of times instead of taking a quiz in a classroom, you'll take it in a quiz lab, which is in our library. So instead of getting back from a road trip at 2 a.m. and having an 8 a.m. class with a quiz, you'll have 2 or 3 days to go take that quiz when you're fresh and recovered and set. So again, small little thing that just really helps make sure that you're at your best academically as well as athletically.
No, that's great. Well, you kind of mentioned the potential, not having everybody at practice or stuff like that. So what would a typical, week, look like in terms of from waking up to going to bed and how practice fits in, games fit in? How would it all look during the season for you guys?
Yeah, so I mean, if we're in the heart of season, we're playing Wednesday and Saturday. So typically Mondays are our heavy practice. So we'll have a heavier practice there. It'll be about 2 hours. Tuesdays would be a walkthrough session, game prep session. So that may be an hour, hour and a half, along with the team meeting, just kind of going over our match plans and stuff like that. Wednesday we play. Thursday would be a recovery session, maybe a little bit of film. We keep film so 30 minutes or less to keep them engaged, not overstimulate them. Friday again, you're back into a game prep and stuff like that. And then Saturday again, you're playing. As far as your classes, typically we have it set up to where classes are in the first part of the day, and then we typically practice somewhere around 3:30 or so. And then some of the kids, especially our nursing students and stuff like that, may have night classes at 6:30 to 8:30 or something like that. This is a school where you can play sports and do nursing, which is, huge. But I think that's something that as a faculty and then coaching staff, we try to work really hard to make sure those kids are really well supported and able to do what they truly love on both ends, academically and athletically.
That's good. So you guys are in the Great Plains Athletic Conference. So what does that look like geographically in terms of how far you usually travel? Are most of those distance games or Saturday games? How does the schedule kind of look with your travel overall?
Yeah, no, everything's pretty local to whether it be Kansas, Iowa, or Nebraska. So we do have presentation. We do have Jamestown, which is South Dakota, North Dakota. So when we go up there, that's a swing. We call that a swing. So for instance, this year we're going up there. So we'll play, I think we play presentation on Thursday or on a Thursday actually, and then we'll play Jamestown on a Saturday. So we'll just kind of go up for a 4-day swing and then come back down. But other than that, everything's pretty local. It's within 2 hours, 3, maybe at the most, besides the Jamestown and presentation swing. And then non-conference wise, we're all over the place. So we'll be out in California this year for 2 non-conference games, and then just kind of trying to always go out and play a tough schedule that gets us nationally recognized as well.
Oh, good stuff. Well, how many players do you typically carry? How many? I mean, are you trying to bring in a set number every year? Does it fluctuate? What does that look like from a roster building standpoint?
Yeah, so we were at 28 this year. Ideally, the school likes us to carry 34. I like to carry 34 as well. The reason is that allows us to have a reserve team. 28 last year, honestly, if you look at, I play a lot of players per game. So we average 20 players that play in a game. You always have 3 or 4 that are injured for whatever reason, right? So if you're playing 20 or traveling 21, you have 4 that are injured. That means you're leaving 3 home that aren't getting developed. So the ability to have reserve games and have that reserve team that helps us develop kids is vital for us in order just to make sure that everyone's always pushing and competing. For us, I always talk about, I balance competition and culture. We don't have set teams. There's not a first team and a reserve team. It all floats. It's all very fluid. And so the ability to keep kids getting developed through game time is vital for us. And that's why we run a reserve. If we didn't have that, then I don't think we'd be as competitively balanced and as competitively strong as we are within the conference.
Makes sense. What about I know you said you're fairly new to the school, but how do you have other staff? What's that look like in terms of roles of staff and how everybody works together?
Yeah, so I have a graduate assistant that's on staff. I have a volunteer assistant coach that's out of the Omaha area, coaches at the club level out there. And then I have another assistant coach he's not a graduate assistant, but he played on the men's program last year, who's with us as well. So we have 4 on staff for this coming year. And then, everything's set up for us. Again, we have 2 teams technically, but we're always together. We train together, everything's together. Schedules are set up so where I'm at all the games. So just really about being a big family and making sure that we're all developing and pushing each other.
How many games would that reserve team have generally scheduled in a season?
Yeah, we have 8 scheduled right now. On the men's side of our conference, I know they do kind of a tournament for those reserve teams. So we've talked about setting that up on the women's side as well, because most of the teams now in our conference do have a reserve team. And so I think that's coming in as well. So we'll probably add 2 more if we don't set up the conference tournament this year. But if we do, then we'll have 8 plus that tournament.
Okay. Now, you mentioned a little bit before about the way, you like players the first touch because you want to possess, but how would you describe your style of coaching and your team style of play?
Yeah, so style of play, I mean, we want to control everything. We're very possession oriented. We're very high press out of possession. We like to build through each phase of the field, and then understand kind of what it is to play. Defensively, again, very high pressure, very aggressive. I believe in just always going out and giving everything and being full tilt, which is why we play so many players. Is because if you're going to play 90 minutes in our style properly, you better be in the best shape ever. And so we just, for me, I kind of pushed back against the more direct style in college. It's a higher education institution. I think you should learn higher levels. I know it's effective at places, but for us, we want them to learn how to truly play and develop a love for the game and really love what they do and watch a game and know what's happening no matter what level they're watching. So coaching style is very personable, is very, positive. I don't want negative mindsets. I want them to understand that, one, it is a game, right? Ultimately, it is a game, and it's supposed to be there for their enjoyment and for their love of it. And so, we try to make sure that we're constantly building people up, giving good critique to make sure that the best player they possibly can be, helping the team the best they can, but really just focused on making sure that they understand that they're valued way more than as a player, both from us as a staff and then from their peers and their teammates as well. And then just making sure that they understand the game is just a part of what makes them special. It's not what makes them special. And so everything in our coaching style and how we relate to players and how we talk to them all goes off of that kind of mindset.
It's a great message. We're talking in March, and NCAA has their off-season restrictions depending on what division you are and those kinds of things. So what does your off-season program look like specifically as an NAI school?
Yeah, so in NAI we call it the 24-week rule. So basically within the school year you have 24 weeks that you can practice as a team. I say as a team. Anytime it's a coach and a player, it's considered a practice. So there's no necessary limit in practices within that week, but you have to get everything in within those 24 weeks. And so we're kind of in that right now. The way our springs are set up is very individual based. So we're very big on competition and then individual development. So every player has an individual development plan that we put together for them, where they have time in each practice to work on something from that plan. We do a lot of small-sided games. We have competitions. I'm a huge fan of Ants Endurance at North Carolina. So we have a competitive cauldron that we do where the kids can go and they'll compete, and whoever's at the top actually wins a trophy. So this is their little trophy they win, right? And then even again, it's about competitiveness for us. So our small-sided games, we're changing the teams all the time, but we keep track of who wins. So they get points for a win and they get points for a goal differential for their teams, and everybody on the team gets those points, and whoever's winning at the end gets a trophy for points league champion. So again, just kind of giving them that knowledge of going out, competing, working hard for themselves, but for their teammates as well. And then those ones towards the end of the spring that may not have the chance to win the trophy, can they sacrifice for their teammate and help their teammate out that may be able to have that chance and really kind of push in. So it's all about life lessons for us. It's all about, again, trying to use the sport to develop them for what they're going to see when they leave college and when they're, living in this world where anything can happen at any time, as we've seen over the past few years.
No, that's great. Love it. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, but my last question for you really is just a catch-all. What else would you like prospects, families, players, anybody to know that we haven't covered, or anything you want to reiterate, or anything else? This is your chance to give that final plug.
Yeah, for us, the biggest thing, and honestly, the thing that makes every recruit for us is based off our culture. So our culture is defined by the word family. So every coach, I think, wants their team to be a family, but that word can have positive or negative meanings for people, depending on kind of their background and their lifestyle. So a few years ago, I saw PJ Fleck, the Minnesota head men's football coach, define
Row the
it as
boat.
forget about me, I love you. I'm a huge PJ Fleck fan. But that meant that just kind of encompassed everything for me. I'd never seen it that way before I saw him speak on it. And it's just kind of defined everything we do. So for us, it's, can you fit into our culture of being a servant leader, of serving your teammates? And then can you fit into the culture of, truly developing each other, not just through the game, but in those relationships. We have very, very long-term viewpoints on how successful our program is based off of stuff even after you leave the school. And so we're constantly working and recruiting and coaching with that viewpoint of looking at those longer term metrics that we measure our program's success rate at. It's not just wins and losses for us. Those are important. I like trophies a lot. But ultimately, are we producing and helping produce the best people we possibly can that come out of here?
Love it. Love it. Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. I wish you the best of luck this coming season. Hopefully I can get myself somewhere near Omaha sometime soon. And but if you get down our way to Florida, give me a shout. Would love to catch up. And we really thank you for your time.
Well, if we can, I tell you what, we will do everything we can to make the national tournament, which is in Alabama, and then you can come watch us.
Love it. Love it. Get there, Coach, and I'll be there with bells on. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.